Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we are once again talking about Tropical Storm Elsa, which now poses a threat to Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Cuba, and the southeastern United States. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think this one will impact the United States? And if so, which state do you think will be the most impacted by this storm? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look here at the satellite imagery for this Tropical Storm Elsa. And as you can see, we still retain that buzzsaw look here as we're taking a look here at the models. This one is still undergoing a lot of intensification right now. Look at the northern side and then the western side of this storm. You see all that just kind of rigidness there. That is an intensifying storm, rapidly intensifying here as we have those very tall clouds there in the middle. This one has developed really, really well over the last 24 hours or so since we talked last time. Let's take a look at that cone forecast. We also have some statistics here. This one is right near the Leeward Islands there, as you can see, and it's heading towards most likely Haiti, Jamaica, and Cuba, and then eventually possibly Florida there. But we have maximum sustained winds of 60 miles per hour. That was about 40 miles per hour yesterday. We have movement at 28 miles per hour west-northwest direction there. Mostly west, though, for sure. And look, this one is a very intense storm as of right now, and you can tell that cone, just like I said, goes straight to Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, and then possibly Florida as well. But I think anywhere from Louisiana all the way to the Carolinas is at risk. Florida's obviously in the middle of that, which is the highest chance of being impacted. Now, some of these watches and warnings, the blues is going to be tropical storm warnings. The yellows is going to be tropical storm watches. But if you look underneath the blues there in Haiti, there's some pink. That is a hurricane watch, where the National Hurricane Center is now eyeballing the possibility that this one could become a hurricane. They're not thinking it's likely, but it is possible at this point. Now let's take a look at the European model's probability of tropical storm, and obviously over the next 3 days, it's at about a 90 to 100% chance because we have a tropical storm already. But as we take a look at the next 3 to 6 days, it's going to be, the days 3 through 6, I said that weird, July 5th through July 8th. We have a 10 to 20% chance of tropical storm strength there near the panhandle of Florida, offshore of the East Coast. I think the reason this is so low is because it has it all over the place, so there's not a lot of confidence in any given location here from that European ensemble model. This thing does do weird things sometimes, so I'm not too surprised by that. Probability of hurricane from this model is at 0 to 10% still, so not really any high probabilities of this by any means. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the Spaghetti Model Guidance, Intensity Guidance, and then Impacts in just a moment. Now, our first set of spaghetti models here is from the GEFS model, and as you can see, a lot of these have it hitting the panhandle of Florida, barely skirting by Cuba there. This would be the most intense, pretty much the most intense solution here for this storm, because if it goes in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba there, it's going to have minimal land impacts before hitting the United States, which would mean an even stronger storm. That land would break up the storm significantly, so to not have that happening is actually really bad news, although it's good news for those islands there in the Caribbean. Now, again, the panhandle of Florida seems to be the bullseye here for this model, but we have some models showing it offshore the East Coast, some of them hitting North Carolina, Virginia area. We even have one hitting Texas, but a majority here are in between Louisiana and the East Coast, somewhere in between there. Now, the European ensemble model doesn't get any more narrow. Actually, it gets a little wider here because we have them ranging from hitting Louisiana all the way to out to sea. So that's a big range there, but basically in between is Florida and the East Coast, seeming like the most likely outcome from that model. And then here we have the CMC model guidance, and as you can see, this one is a little bit more narrow than the European model, but most of them are along the East Coast on this one or hitting Florida. We do have a lot of out to sea ones as well, but anywhere from Louisiana all the way to out to sea is possible according to those models. So all three basically are showing a very, very similar outlook here. And then here is all the individual models, and you can see they're a lot more narrow. They're showing something in between a Florida panhandle hit, which a large group of them are showing, as you can see. But also there's a large group that show it kind of going offshore of the east coast of Florida and then hitting North Carolina, which would be also another very impactful solution as well at this point. So that seems like the two most likely outcomes, but there is a lot of different solutions that are possible. Now here is Tropical Storm Elsa model intensity guidance, and as you can see, we're at about 50 knots. But this one is either expected to maintain that strong tropical storm status, or there's also quite a few models that show that hitting Category 1. And there's a couple that show it going into Category 2 or even Category 3, as that purple model shows. So there's a couple different solutions on the table as far as intensity as well. I'm guessing that if it goes in between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, like I said, we could get a more intense solution, possibly Category 1 or more. But if it hits Dominican Republic and Haiti or Cuba for a significant amount of time, I do not expect this one to be a hurricane if that is the case. Although things in the Gulf and the Caribbean can surprise, so it is certainly possible at this point. I just think that would definitely hinder the chances of that occurring at this point. We would get a weaker storm, most likely. Maybe a strong tropical storm, which is still a very impactful storm, but it's not a hurricane. So obviously, the less intense the storm, the better for everybody involved. That being Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and Florida, and the rest of the United States as well, that are possibly going to get hit. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and talk about impacts now. What is the probability of tropical storm force winds? What's the probability of 58 mile per hour winds? What's the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds? And then we'll take a look at what the European model and the GFS model show. And then we're going to get into my official cone forecast. Alright, now here we are taking a look at the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. And as you can see, anywhere in the greens, we have a 5 to 30% chance of tropical storm force winds. And then there's yellows there, which you can see for the Florida Keys and then along the west coast of Florida. That's where we're at about a 30 to 50% chance of tropical storm force winds. And we are quite a few days out, so this is, a pretty high number considering how many days we are still out. And as you can totally tell, the National Hurricane Center is really, really just sticking with what the GFS model is showing. They're not really accepting the possibility of this one going up the East Coast or hitting somewhere as far west as Louisiana. They're trying to narrow this one down. And as you can see, this is the 50-knot wind speed probabilities. And as you can see, we have about a 30 to 50% chance there in those yellow regions approaching Haiti. But then we have somewhere around a 5 to 20% chance there as it approaches closer to Cuba and Florida. Now here is the most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds. And as you can see, for Dominican Republic, that's around Saturday morning. And then for Jamaica, it's around Sunday 8 a.m. That's also around the time where eastern Cuba would start to get impacted. Sunday night would be around the middle of Cuba, and then it'd be moving off the northwestern tip of Cuba by about 8 a.m. on Monday. That just happens to be the time around when the Florida Keys would start to feel impacts. Monday, 8 p.m. is when some of the middle portions of Florida. And if it's going to hit the panhandle of Florida, it would be around Tuesday in between 8 a.m. and maybe around 1 p.m. is when that would be making landfall if it was the Florida panhandle. So that's kind of the timing of everything there. You can obviously find your area and figure out what timing it would be. Now here's the European model's 10 meter wind gust mile per hour. So anywhere in the oranges and reds is about 45 miles per hour plus. As you can see, it kind of hits Dominican Republic, and it really breaks up after that point because that was about maybe 5 a.m. on Saturday. The first frame is about 5 a.m. on Friday. And then let's take a look at Sunday, maybe at about 12 a.m. And you can see it's just completely broken up. So Haiti and Dominican Republic take a huge toll on the storm according to that model. As we take a look at the GFS model, though, this is at about 5 a.m. on Saturday. We have a very intense storm, around 70 mile per hour wind gusts by that point. It skirts just below Cuba and remains a very intense storm. It never really breaks up, and then we see a storm with about 80 mile per hour wind gusts approach the panhandle of Florida, probably a hurricane by that point, according to this model, at about 8 a.m., impacting the Florida panhandle. So two very different solutions there. We're going to continue to track these two different solutions and all the different solutions here on this YouTube channel. Here's my official cone forecast, and I'm keeping the options open, guys. I have anywhere from Louisiana to the East Coast being impacted to even offshore of the East Coast, because that's what the models are saying is possible. So I'm keeping all of the options on the table here for you guys. I'm not trying to preliminarily narrow it down before it's too early. So here is the forecast, and you can see its location is at about 12.3 degrees north by 57.3 degrees west. We have winds of 60 miles per hour. We have a low pressure center of 1,001 millibar, which is about if I'm not mistaken, it was at about 1,008. So we've seen about a 7 millibar drop there in the past 24 hours. Its movement is west at 28 miles per hour. So this is my cone forecast, guys. I'm going to continue to keep you updated, so stay tuned with us as we continue to track this storm. For today's confidence tab, I'm at a 4 out of 6 still. That's about above 50% confidence here, so I'm feeling more confident, but there is still some question marks. How intense will this one get? What states will it impact? There's a lot of questions on the table. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think this one will become a hurricane or will it stay a tropical storm? And James Marsh said, I think it will remain a strong tropical storm, although it's not out of the question that this becomes a weak hurricane. And I stand right there with you because I have that opinion as well. Good comment of the day there. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Larry LePan, and Donna Carnes, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Cotalesa, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Cindy Klein, Mark J, Luke Flago, Gary's, John Quilisi, Dwight Phelan, and Steven Crenenthal. If you would like to be a part of this patron entry of the day, you can do so by joining that very awesome Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. I would also like to thank our channel members, Hair Farms 1 and Catbite as well. That'll be located next to the subscribe button down below if you'd like to join that one. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to destroy the like button. Be sure to leave a comment down below to help that YouTube algorithm out. And also be sure to subscribe if you like weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.